Okay.
Good morning, everyone. We're just opening to let everybody in, and we'll be starting shortly.
Good morning, everyone. It is 9:30. We're going to wait just a few more, well, another minute or so, and give a few more of our attendees the opportunity to dial in. Well, good morning, everyone. It is November 13th, and you have joined Visit Lauderdale's Global Trade Development Partner Update. Thank you for joining us and welcome. I am Tracy Vaughn, the Senior VP for Global Trade, and I am joined today by our global team members. We are all here. That has been a rare occasion here lately, and you'll find out why here as they give their reviews, but we haven't all been in the office that much, but we're all here today, happy to say. Caitlin, Paul, Roger, Hassan, and Willeen. And of course, we have our special guest, Ted Bottomer is here as well, and he'll be sharing his latest take on numbers locally and give us some global insight as well. A couple of housekeeping notes before we launch into the presentation. We are recording this presentation. We certainly hope that you'll stay for the duration. It is expected to be about 1 hour, but if you can't, know that the presentation will be uploaded on our website within a day or two for you to review at your convenience. And of course, we hope that you'll share it as well with any of your staff. And please send us any questions that you have at any time through our chat box, and we will do our best to answer those accordingly. So let's take a quick look at our agenda today. This is why we come together, is for you to get our updates, to hear from the staff about what they've done in the last quarter, which was the end of our fiscal year 25, July through September. And then, of course, they'll each give you some updates on what plans are for 2026 fiscal year, which we are now a month and a half into. So we're also going to share, you guys know this is one of my favorite things to talk about, is the marketing co-ops that we do with our buyers and different consortia. We are going to give some examples of some recent co-ops that we've done, just to give you some metrics and idea of why we do this. So it's all very strategic what we're doing. We're not just meeting with our buyers, but we're also helping push out our messaging, developing product, and then sales as well. And then we're going to talk a little bit just briefly about our co-ops that we were planning for 26. We met with marketing yesterday, and we met with our agency of record, Spark, as well. So those proposed co-ops are going to be moving forward as well. We're going to give you a quick update on IPW 2026. And then Hassan's going to share the Lauderdale Loyalist and Passport updates. And then Ted's going to give us his view on what's happening out there. And then, of course, we'll have a quick reminder as well of when to join us next. So as I will now turn it over to Caitlin to give us an update on the TAN.
Perfect. Good morning, everyone. So yes, over the last couple of months, I started in July, I did a little training myself, but August, I went full speed ahead and joined the Brand USA sales mission down in Argentina and Chile for 4 days of great events. It was wonderful to be able to join Brand USA with this. This was something that wasn't specifically on my plan. I knew I needed to do a mission there, but they created this, and we thought it was perfect timing to give kind of a preview for IPW, because that is such a strategy for us this year of going full speed ahead and recruiting those buyers. So while US Travel did not join me for this Brand USA mission, I was able to speak one-on-one with operators about highlights for joining us in May of 2026. So in Argentina, we did a large training. We had over 150 agents there for a live in-person training. We met with 40 different operators on one-on-one meetings. Chile, the same, about 120 agents there. You know, they have a smaller market in Chile for operators, but they were all there because, you know, Brand USA really brings that, the draw of all of the top US selling operators. So it was important for us to be there. Argentina, as some of you may be seeing, you know, is still going strong. It's really several case studies need to be done there because their economy is very volatile, but they are still traveling. US Travel, you know, does estimate that they spend about $4,500 per traveler when they come to the US. So not only are they coming here and spending a lot of money, and we all know that Florida is their number one way of entry, port of entry. So they are still coming in through Miami. We cannot count on how many are coming to Fort Lauderdale right this second, because most of them come in through Miami, but we know through all of our operators that they are coming to Fort Lauderdale and they love us. I would say that Argentina is one of those markets that I see in Latin America that really does know us, because we've had a presence there for many years and they still love us, right? There is definitely the Miami fatigue. Some of them still will always want to go there, but they love us. They want to come see us. They want to come shop with us. They want to come to our beaches and they want to cruise. So, and of course they want the sports. So, you know, the World Cup and Messi and all of that is still, you know, very real. Lots of conversations about recommendations for contracting for World Cup came out of that mission. And then moving on to Brazil, you know, another huge producer for us. We did our Brazil sales mission that we do every year, different time this year. We did it in September instead of attending above. Thank you. Shout out to two hotel partners that joined us. I believe they would say it was super successful. It was great. We were able to be in Sao Paulo with, you know, top tour operators. We did 2 events there. Great. We had some great media there. And then we traveled south down to Florianopolis, which is not a hub for Azul to fly direct to Fort Lauderdale. However, Copa is very strong there, and that was kind of that thinking process to go down there and really work that market as well. And it's also known to be, you know, a wealthier area. So they are affluent, they travel, and we hadn't been down there for a while. So, you know, successful 100%. We also, as you see in this picture there, not sure if you recognize some of those 2 people, but we were joined in Brazil to kick off this 2026 IPW strategy here. We had Tyler and Amy joined us in Brazil, and they joined us for events, and they also had their own meetings to really enforce. And I think, Tracy can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that they're really looking to have the biggest Brazilian delegation, if not Colombia, et cetera, all Latin America, but they really are pushing to have a strong Brazilian presence for IPW. And this was, part of that impulse there. So that was kind of what I've been doing the last couple of months. And then just the next slide here, Hassan, we had our 3 countries that we have representation that we had for fiscal year 25 with Avia reps. They were extremely busy this last quarter. The way that our contract worked is, we kind of started a little bit later, and that's okay because they're really strong July through September to work for that later booking period for December and planting those seeds for later on in the year. So Colombia was just on fire with lots of trainings, as you can see listing there. We're very proud about the work that they've done to work with the cruise line. So this was the first initiative. They've never been able to do some training one-on-one with Royal Caribbean and Visit Lauderdale trainings in Colombia. So we hosted some breakfast, some lunch trainings, etc. Brand USA, they were able to go to 3 different cities because they do have a Brand USA rep in Colombia. So our rep joined them to do some other trainings there. And then, as you can just see, the list goes on with some specific top producing tour operator trainings. Our Argentina rep, they attended the FEET trade show that we did not attend. I attended last year, so I'll probably plan to do every other year. But we had some great presence there, lots of great media out of there. And they've just been as well doing those trainings, as you can see in the pictures there. And then our Brazil rep, Kawe, who's been with us for many years, attended Diversa workshop. You'll hear that name a lot. Diversa is an up-and-coming tour operator, and they are heavy with US. So he jumps on that opportunity to attend their workshops. We hosted their FAM, the Visit USA experience, et cetera. TBO, you'll also hear, if you haven't heard, they are starting to be very strong out of Brazil. I know they're strong in other markets like India. Tracy's mentioned they're strong in Brazil as well. So that was what our reps did in those markets. And then moving forward, here, we had a little overlap with October. You can just see a preview. I was just in Colombia there. Some of you know we had some FAMs. In October, I was just up in Orlando with a very successful event with Galaxy Vacations, Receptive, and some webinars. But for travel-wise, I plan on being in Madrid for a tour in January to work that Spanish market and Portugal. And Paul and I will be in Huddle, really focusing on that strategy for IPW recruitment. I'll be working with Tyler in Mexico in February. So a little bit different this year about what we're doing. I've mentioned to many of you, this year is not our typical year because of IPW. So not as many partner opportunities travel with us, but please know we are representing you everywhere possible at all of these events. Okay, so I'll be finishing out this upcoming season with Brand USA. It's a brand new initiative. They're going to do their travel week, which Paul will talk about, that's been very successful. In Europe, they're going to now do it in South America for the first time, where they're bringing the buyers to the event. It will be in Rio in March. We're thrilled to be able to attend and push those last minute registrations for IPW so they can all be here and all meet with you at IPW. That's it for me for my update. I'll see you in a couple more slides. I'm going to pass the baton over to Paul.
Thank you, Caitlin. And that's a tough act to follow. Wow. I'll tell you what, I'm here to present about Europe and Canada and what we did this last July through September, what we're going to be doing into the fiscal year of 26 and what we've already started to do in October. And I'm going to go over lead management, which is our eyes and ears on the ground in continental Europe. And we'll discuss that after our updates that I have for you for Europe and Canada. You need to go back one. Sorry, that's fine. So not as big of a list as what Caitlin did over July through September. And I'm usually pretty quiet in that last quarter of our fiscal year. We were honored to have the Hoblo 5th year anniversary. And it's hard to believe that Hoblo has literally only been around for 5 years. It is a phenomenal communication platform that we are a huge partner of and one of their top partners. And again, shout out to all of our hotel, attraction, and restaurant partners that have become a part of Hoblo and are actually literally every day marketing and showing what they are all about on that platform to literally thousands of anyone involved with the travel industry in the United Kingdom, in Ireland, Scotland, and continental Europe. They've done a remarkable job. They brought over 8 operators with them from the UK, Scotland, and Ireland. They had 4 members of their team with them as well, and also Norse Atlantic Airways helped sponsor the airline to come over and see us. They spent several days here. We had some wonderful events. You can see some pictures there of the 5th-year anniversary. We went to Jackson's for lunch, which was just amazing. I had never had the kitchen sink, or I finally had it. So that was just an amazing experience at Jackson's. And then, of course, the stadium. We did go to Chase Stadium to see where Messi plays. And of course, everyone that was with the fam absolutely loved that, as they are all football fans. They really did enjoy themselves with this. Followed up with Orlando Sales Mission. The Orlando Sales Mission we actually had in July, and I can't believe it's that long ago already. We had 9 appointments with receptive and wholesale operators, including web beds, ocean holidays, and hotel beds, of course. And we followed up with what was just an incredible party at Pinstripes. We had over 20 attendees from the various receptive and wholesale operators that are based in the Orlando region, and just really had a great time at Pinstripes. It's the 2nd year in a row that we've done that event. It's been very, very successful. And shout out to 4 of our hotel partners that did go with us. Again, I believe they had a wonderful time, a lot of good business, and a lot of contracts have already been signed. We've actually, Caitlin and I followed up with web beds this past week, last week actually, and they've signed a few contracts based on those meetings that we had in Orlando. So again, we'll talk about what we're doing next year on the next slide, Hassan. We're all set for you. So as Caitlin mentioned, we have done a lot of work already into the new fiscal year. I did go to Brand USA Travel Week in London. The week before that, Tracy did attend the Nordic Road Show with Brand USA as well. Incredible opportunity for us. But what I'd love to shout out here about Brand USA Travel Week, and Caitlin kind of mentioned this a little bit earlier in her presentation, is that they're going to be starting one in South America as well. I highly regard this as one of the best shows that we do all year. These clients are vetted. The marketing teams are vetted by Brand USA. They are solid appointments. This past year, I went with Tyler as well in October to London. Tyler was the USTA rep, and again, promoting IPW and getting all of those operators and marketing and media outlets excited and ready for IPW here in the greater Fort Lauderdale region next May. We had 40 appointments. All were very, very good appointments. And as I said, vetted appointments. And again, they cannot wait to come to IPW. We had also a FAM. That was the same weekend that I was gone for Brand USA Travel Week. Thank you to Hassan for hosting that. It was with Visit Florida and Riceland Travel, which is a German rep travel agency. They brought, I believe it was, 10, if I'm not mistaken. No, actually 13 people all total with Visit Florida that came. And Hassan did a magnificent job. We've heard nothing but great comments from Visit Florida about that. And again, shout out to all of the partners that were involved in that FAM. Coming up for me for fiscal year 26, again, not as busy. You want to stay on that slide. You want to go back one slide, Hassan. Sorry about that. Not as busy as we normally are in terms of going out there, but we are still representing all of our partners throughout the community at everything that we do as we get ready for IPW in May of 26. Tracy and I will be going up to Canada, Toronto, and Montreal in early January. We're still deciding on the dates, but we're close to that second week of January. We will hopefully be attending with a USTA representative. We do believe it's going to be Tyler again. We'll host 2 dinners. And we will have, of course, members of the travel industry that have attended IPW and that we would like to see come and attend IPW here in the greater Fort Lauderdale region in May. As Caitlin did say, we have Florida Huddle coming up in Orlando. That'll be February 2nd through the 4th. We know a lot of the partners will also be attending. I will be doing IITA Summit in Niagara Falls in February. Can't wait to do that one in February in Niagara Falls. Very excited. It's a show that has a lot of great receptive and wholesale operators that are based here in the U.S. I'm on the governance committee, so we'll be talking about a lot of government action involved with tourism in the United States, and hopefully be able to pass some of our viewpoints about how travel should be reflected by our government. I then will have, of course, IPW, which I know Tracy's going to talk about later on in the presentation. So not much there on that for me. Orlando Mission, again, we're looking at the third or last week of July. Once I have the date, I will notify everybody and get that out. That will be a mission that will be open to 4 or 5 partners. So be on the lookout for that. And then Brand USA Travel Week, again, Amsterdam this time. They're going to switch it up from London the end of September into early October. Next slide, please. Now we're going to talk about lead management and what they do for us in continental Europe. One of the things that we do want to definitely make sure you do know is that although we've been working with Ignite over the last several years, and they have been a wonderful, wonderful representation company for us in the UK, Ireland, and Scotland, we are still going through the RFP process for them to continue that work. So for right now, Lead is handling a lot of continental Europe for us, and they are literally our eyes and ears for us in continental Europe as they promote the greater Fort Lauderdale region, getting us ready for IPW. I don't want to go through each note on this slide because it is word heavy, if you will, but their main strategies, again, are to get us involved in joint marketing campaigns, really kind of clinging out to those strong niche type of operators like Dirt Tours you see here in Canusa, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. They're looking at a multi-channel approach, which again gives you out-of-home campaigns, print placement, which is still very alive, especially in Germany, where those tariff guides are everything to a lot of those operators. What our representative is doing with Leave is also doing a lot of storytelling about the greater Fort Lauderdale region. And she's doing that in her presentations, her webinars, which are also, again, another big part of that strategy: fans, webinars, client trainings, and of course, trade shows, which connects us to both the B2B and the B2C world. Some of the key achievements that they've done this past year, fiscal year 25, and it's pretty astounding because they've really been only doing continental Europe for us for a little less than the last year or so. 18 additional operators, Italy, France, and the Benelux, which is Belgium, Netherlands, and Luxembourg, in this last fiscal year. That's amazing. And 108 new product placements, which means that they're getting our region into those product guides with those tour operators from around continental Europe. How are they doing that? Well, again, they're talking with those niche operators, making us that standalone, a round trip destination. And again, something that Caitlin mentioned, and I love to keep repeating this, is that yes, Miami is there. It will always be there, but we are becoming very well known into these countries and regions because of management companies like Leap. They are really pushing that hard, and we're starting to see that change. They're doing a lot of knowledge building, a lot of training sessions for us. Of course, the product expansion, as we talked about, new hotels. Anytime you have new information for us about new programs, please send that to us so that we can have Lead represent that, as well as all of our representation in Latin America as well. And then, of course, visibility and growth, getting us on those booking platforms throughout continental Europe and the different operators. Next slide, please. So a couple of things that we wanted to point out that they've done for us from July through September, which Lead has, again, like I said, just been simply amazing. FVW Media Destination Day, that was on July 1st. I can't believe it's that long ago, but they have honestly said that this was one of the best destination days that they have ever had. And Ilona Arnold, who is our main representative for B2B and the travel trade with Lead, again, did a remarkable job. She was on a panel discussion for 45 minutes with the presenter. She had 3 workshops, 25 minutes each. We did partner with Air Canada, which again is a huge partner of ours when it comes to bringing people over from continental Europe and, of course, Canada, and Disney Cruise Line, which again will be a mainstay for us here at Port Everglades. And also shout out to one of our hotels. They did sponsor 2 nights, and they had 151 people actually look to get into that contest when the entries were submitted. So what were the results of this? 225,000 ad impressions, 1,388 editorial page views from the editorial article that was during the teaser before and the follow-up afterwards. They had 336 live attendees and over 1,259 views, and it was on demand through October 10th. So that's just simply amazing for a one destination day. Next slide, please. Canusa, who is one of the top German operators, they specialize in the United States and Canada. We did a great digital campaign with them and kind of give you some idea of how well that did. 6.5 total impressions in just 6 weeks with that program. The engagement rate was just unbelievable through the newsletters, search, and social media. The newsletter had 40,000 readers at an open rate of almost 50%. They had 6.2 million impressions in 1 month, as well as the Pinterest was 105,000 views. Just incredible results with this. A lot of touch points were met with this, and over 129 quotes during the campaign period. Then we had America Rising. Now, what I love about this company, and Tracy and I always joke about this a little bit, but in all seriousness, they are really out of the box thinkers when it comes to PR and marketing efforts. A lot of times you look and go, that may be a little bit too much for us, not in terms of cost, but in terms of what they're trying to do with their programs. But this one particular program we absolutely loved. It was their home campaign. And as you can see the picture here, it was literally different scenes from around Visit Lauderdale in the greater Fort Lauderdale region, literally on their transports, their trains. It was planned for a month. They extended it for 3 months because the performance was just simply incredible. 4.5 million impressions over 3 months. This was in central Vienna. So you also had not just residents, but also tourists that were in Vienna during that time period. They had a call to action, which of course we want for all of our media and PR programs, with a QR code that linked them to our dedicated landing page. And as a result, 125 booking requests were made from that. Next, please. And then one of my favorite programs that Lieb does for us every year, well, not every year, I think this is the second year now they've done this. It was in Munich this year, this past September, and it's a cooking event. What's great about this cooking event is that it's not just, hey, someone's going to make a dinner for everybody, they sit and they do a presentation. Not at all. This is actually the people that were invited, which were also PR and trade. 20 to 25 people were actually invited for this. They participate with a chef. And what they also did with this program, and what made this so successful for Lieb, was they brought our flair, our flavor, our cultural flair and food to these operators and PR and marketing agencies in Germany. So they had a chance to really kind of go at it and cook and kind of show off that Michelin star and recommended hotel flair that we now have here. Next slide, please. So it's a couple of the pictures that we have. And I want to also point out, if you look at the picture on the left hand, or my left-hand side, possibly your right-hand side, the cutting board has a Visit Lauderdale logo in there. And these were giveaways for all that attended. And you can see some of the pictures here. Like I said, this was one of our favorite events. Lieb does a magnificent job with it. And look at the food that they created. Again, showing that cultural, Caribbean, South Florida, greater Fort Lauderdale region food flair. Next slide. And again, there's the chef showing how he's doing some of the cooking there. Of course, the people enjoying. And again, you look at the background, you see the murals from Hollywood. And then, of course, that's our staff with Lieb. We have Roya, Judith, and Ilona in the middle, partly marketing and PR and trade. We're all there during the event. Next slide, please. And then last but not least, what are they going to be doing for us this year, fiscal 26? A lot of it is going to be IPW focused. Their job on the ground will literally be to promote with USTA, with Visit USA and commercial services in all of these countries about promoting IPW to those operators, PR and marketing agencies to come here and see what we are all about firsthand in May. A couple of things that they've done since October 1st when the new fiscal year started. 729 travel agents were trained across Germany, Austria, France, and Italy already. They've had 23 meetings with key operators to explore marketing opportunities already since October. They've done that interactive approach again that we've talked about, networking, incentives, and contests to boost that engagement. And the conclusion, it's that training and networking events that will show that high impact tool to strengthen our expertise and enhance what we are all about, our brand loyalty, what Greater Fort Lauderdale is all about, as a must-know destination, a place to visit for all travel professionals and their clients. And that is my report for Canada, Europe, and also Lieb's updates. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Roger Dudley. I will go over the domestic initiatives that we've done over the past 3 months. So if I can get to the next slide, please. So we had a pretty busy July through September, starting it off with GTM North America. This is one of our biggest undertakings every year. It's held in July at the Diplomat, and we also do pre and post FAMs for that event. So 10 people join us for pre and 10 people join us for post. There's also boardrooms, individual appointments. We host a reception at GTM, so it is a really big deal. Thank you for those that were on the FAMs and hosted some of the attendees, as well as thank you to Rita with Pompano Beach for being my partner during our boardroom presentations and doing an in-depth knowledge of our beach communities. Next up, I went to Fire Island. No, go back. So Fire Island for Fire Island's Pines Party. This was an LGBTQ initiative that Visit Lauderdale undertook. With Richard's departure, I stepped in to do this. It's a big event up there on Fire Island, just off of New York. And it's a key market for us for the LGBTQ community, being in the Northeast and some affluent visitors that will want to come here when it gets cold up there. Delta Vacations University, they do every other year now for their trade show. So this year it was held in Atlanta. Thank you to Margaritaville and W Fort Lauderdale Beach for attending with me and helping us sell the destination and give information to these top agents that sell Delta Vacations. And then Dream One Vacations and new franchise owners, as well as cruise planners, Star University. These events are ongoing every quarter. Hassan pretty much leads these initiatives. We have a table at their event or their trade show, or host a welcome table at their opening reception, just to kind of be a concierge while they're here. One, to give them information on the destination, also answer questions and welcome them to Greater Fort Lauderdale. Next slide now, Hassan. Thanks. So upcoming, we did just pass due the AAA National Conference, as well as Cruise World, but they were technically in this fiscal year. So we'll highlight those next time. This weekend, I'm headed to AAA Northeast Threads with Margaritaville and the Water Taxi. This is a new initiative for us. This is AAA agents just out of the Northeast AAA area. So they expect about 150 AAA agents at the trade show and education. We're also, as Florida, sponsoring their evening event. So Orlando is the presenting sponsor, and then some of the other Florida destinations came in as sporting sponsors. So we're very excited about that, since Florida is a big sell for that region. And then we're going to go to the travel and adventure shows, as we always do in the spring. These are consumer shows, and they bring in hundreds and hundreds of people. While it's cold up north, they're going through these trade shows and being inspired where they want to travel. So this year we have chosen Washington, D.C., New York City, and Chicago. So we can take up to 3 delegates to each of those. We're also interested in joining AAA Northeast's Boston Consumer Show. It looks like the last time we did this was many years ago, before my time, and Caitlin was in charge. But they brought it back. It is a one-day show, and it is January 31st. Sorry, I missed that on here, but we're just gaining interest on this. We've not registered, but we do need to register soon. So if you're interested in this, please go online and register. Spring PA, we're going to go up and do a sales mission, working with ASTA up there and 3 of their chapters in that area, as well as the AAA reading Berks. And that is opening today as well, with a lot more information to come. I'm just now starting to plot that out and plan that road trip. And then Cruise 360, we have 6 spots available this year. And that is also opening today. That's in April. So all of these that say opening today, they will be available as soon as we get off of this call. So you can go online and register to attend these trade shows with us. Cruise 360 is the only one that is here locally. The rest all do require some travel and at your expense, as well as the registration. But we really hope some of you will attend. Lots of opportunities domestically this year to still travel with us and help promote your business. And I look forward to being there with you.
Okay, I think I'm going to take over this. Thank you, Roger. And yes, that AAA Northeast show. We went back and forth in the office about this. You know, many of you did travel with me before. It was always a very successful one up in the Northeast. So it's a very busy time with lots of shows going on that time. But if you're interested, I'm sure Roger can get you more information. But moving forward to talk about some of those co-ops that Tracy alluded to, and Paul went over some in with the German offices. I'm going to highlight just a few because we have an extensive marketing plan yearly. But Hassan, you can go to this next one. These are just a couple of highlights of some newer ones because some of these campaigns we do annually, right? Like we're in with some of these tour operators throughout our different countries. And Roger does some standing ones with the consortias in the US. But some of these I'm going to highlight, one, because they're newer, ones that we haven't done in a while, or two, because they had some great successes, but we just wanted to share these with you. So I'm going to start off with Avianca. This is something that we haven't had the opportunity to do a lot lately because we haven't had as many new flights as maybe we did 10 years ago. We're already established there, but Avianca did bring new flight from Bogota to Fort Lauderdale. I'm sorry, that one existed, from Medellin to Fort Lauderdale. And they were really excited about working with us to promote in not only in Colombia, but also in Peru and in some other digitally, they were able to touch some other markets. So they connect into Bogota and then go into Fort Lauderdale. So we did a 1 month matching funds campaign directly with the airline. It was a mixed media campaign, as it said here. And, they did, you can see right here, their scope of influence. There are all kinds of different audiences. They have some amazing analytics that come directly from the airline. So we really relied on some of their expertise to put together this plan and see what we could do with it. And it was fun. We were able to grow that Lima to Fort Lauderdale route by 42% over this time period. Bogota to Fort Lauderdale, 36%. Medellin, which is the new one, grew 16%. So not as, amazing as the other two, but still overall, it was a success. The search interest over that time period overall increased 7%, and there was about 120,000 searches on their website for Fort Lauderdale. So, and that's in 1 month, and you can just see some of that media mix. And also, I'm going to highlight too that we were able to be on TikTok. So, we're a Broward County agency. We don't have our own TikTok account, but we are able to have presence on TikTok through different avenues, right? And one of these things is Avianca, right? Like they were, promoted our destination through this campaign. You can go to the next slide here, Hassan. And we also had a lot of fun with them. We relied on, Hassan, you can go to the next slide, please. We relied on their creative expertise to really put together a fun and funny campaign, right? So some of you may joke along with me because I do it every time. I say that part of the problem we have in Latin America is they can't say our destination, right? They're like, oh, I'm just going to Miami but they're in Fort Lauderdale. They can't say Fort Lauderdale. We joke around it. It's funny. So we played with that, and that they actually suggested that. So we had billboards throughout Colombia with this whole play on Fort Lauderdale. How do you play it? It was fun. We got seen. So we were in digital billboards in malls because we know that, Colombians love to shop. So we hit them there. We were on billboards, in main highways and, heavy traffic areas where they're sitting in major Bogota traffic, which if you've been to Colombia, is crazy. So they're sitting there and they're looking at this beautiful destination and they're like, yeah, I need to be in Fort Lauderdale. And media, of course, here. And then we ended with a radio influencer coming to the destination. So they kind of rolled with this on their own. We worked with our PR team here and giving suggestions. I know many of you worked with some of them on their own, but they just kind of came and they wanted it to be really organic. So they just did their own thing. They were live on Facebook, live on TikTok. So you can see like this was a TikTok thing. We had an ad on TikTok with Avianca, but they also were live on TikTok. They were live on Instagram and live on their radio show. So really fun. We have some great metrics with that. And while Colombia has been an interesting market this year, we know that there's still that demand with the flights. They're still coming. their economy is a little volatile as well, but they're coming and we just need to be, front and center with them. So we were happy to partner with Avianca and give that name recognition there. So that was one of those highlight campaigns. The next one, Expedia Tap. So this is that travel agent platform. So it's not just straight Expedia. This one, Tracy, secured for us, and we're really happy to work, as a DMO partner in these key markets that they suggested where it's strong with. Clearly, as it says here, which markets in the US we were targeting at. So this is travel agents going into the Expedia travel agent platform and doing their bookings there. So we hit them up with ads, with portals there on Greater Fort Lauderdale, etc. We decided to add in Canada, Mexico, and Brazil as well as other markets to kind of test, because we haven't done this campaign in a very long time. We did some matching, as a co-op, we did some matching funds. And as you can see here, generated over 1,833 room nights in just a very short amount of time. I believe it was just, as you can see, August and September, and not 2 full months. So really successful. And in those months that we need those bookings to come in, we have more metrics on like length of stay and stuff like that. That's like a whole nother deep dive, but you can see right there, Brazil and Mexico, in my point of view, yes, there was a good, return on investment. We secured that, but probably not something that we would renew with Expedia. We need to probably go with Despegar and some of the other OTAs that they, in their markets, that they book through. But for Canada, US, very strong. And I'm sure if we do another platform, if we do another plan with them, we'll probably add in Germany or, UK, stuff like that. So anyways, that happened, and we are pleased with those results. The next one that I want to highlight, Hassan, if you can go to the next slide, would be, I believe it is Hopper and New Viagens. So Hopper, hopefully you're all familiar with that. It is, a B2C platform, an app really where they have their most success. And we did our first campaign, direct campaign with them this summer, and it was great as well. We also decided to be one, I think it was 2 destinations that they partnered with in a test partnership. So it was us and Kissimmee for New Viagens, which is a bank in Brazil. Well, Nubank is the bank in Brazil, and New Viagens is the banking platform for, the travel platform that the bank has. Like Hopper partners with Capital One, and so Nubank partners with like New Viagens for the that travel side, that portal. So booking with points and stuff like that, like you would book with Capital One and their points. So anyways, this was a brand new test, and we were really happy to get, front and center with that and be there. And, Tracy loves her vision with that, is like to get in, first and be that testing market. And we were there, and as you can see right there, like 35% open rate for an email blast in Brazil is huge. We had huge increases there. You can see the peak right there, and 9% overall increase in the hotel market share when you compare the same period over last year, 10% increase in hotel ADR. So it was great, millions of impressions there, created our own microsite. So it's great to be able to do these partnerships and see some actual bookings right there, hardcore, and really just move the barometer there. Next up, and we are looking to hopefully do something again next year, Price Travel. So we did co-ops with Visit Florida, and then we did our own trainings, right? So you saw on my other side, I did trainings personally in March. Our rep did it in Colombia in September of this year with Price Travel at the call center. So it's a holistic approach here. So yes, we did these digital ads with them. In Mexico, they are Amex affiliates. Like this is a huge company. Hopefully you know about them. Mexico had a 37% increase in their room night bookings year over year. Okay, so Mexico is the real strong one for Price Travel for us, and we're going to continue to grow on this relationship. Colombia is there and with Price Travel as well, and we're working that. It's not a huge amount of room nights compared to what Mexico is, but we're still present there, and we're still going to be working on these co-ops moving forward. So just some, quick examples of what we have there. And then we are working on this plan. So yes, we're currently in fiscal year 26 already. due to IPW and some other things, some brand refresh. Tracy can go in more about that, and our marketing team will talk to you about that. But we've had a little bit of a budget shift, but we have worked with our leadership to really divide up the markets pretty evenly, right? Making sure we have coverage in Canada and the UK and Ireland and continental Europe, what Roger's doing in the US and what I'm doing in LATAM, and really look at some specific operators that we want to work with, specific partners that give us these proven results, right? So where our traditional marketing team may be doing some more splashier, bigger buys, we're going to be doing really granular things, right? Like, hey, what can we do with a $5,000 buy? What can we do with a $2,500 buy that's going to push the needle and get more bookings into your hotels? So we have found these, some of these, this is just a glimpse, and we are working on some of these negotiations right now, but just to give you a highlight of what we will be working with this year on your behalf. And globally, right, hotel beds, and as Paul alluded to, web beds, huge, right? They're growing. So we're working at how we can support just pushing the needle even more for all of our hotel properties that are on those sites. So that's just a highlight right there. And our next meeting, hopefully in January, we'll have even more successes that we can share with you from some of these co-ops. And I think that's it for me. I'm going to pass the baton off to our fearless leader here to talk about the big project that we're all working on.
Thank you to the team. Amazing updates. Caitlin, thanks for the co-op overview. I hope that really drives home how what we're doing is not just getting in front of our buyers and selling and trying to create the product, but driving the consumer to their sites, the call to action, and the bookings affecting you. So it's come full circle, and I just really wanted you guys to have a better understanding of how we're doing that and where we get, we get these metrics to help us better understand each of these markets and moving that needle. So so IPW 2026, May 17 through 21. Hassan, being moved to the next slide, I just want to share with you, we did launch registration for participating from our partners back in end of October, actually. And we have basically sold what we set a goal for. And we set the goal at 21. We weren't sure. We actually checked in with US Travel. We said, if we want this space, if we don't sell all this space, can we release it back to you? No problem. And as it stands right now, we need to actually ask them for more space if you're not part of the program right now, because we are essentially sold out, but we can acquire more space. So if you're listening to this and you're kind of thinking, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to be registered already, do know that we are working with US Travel. If you are interested, we do need to know as soon as possible that you are actually working towards being able to secure the funds to be able to do this. It is $4,500 for your own 10 by 10. We are not doing shared appointments this year. We will be in a space. Our team will be taking the standard appointments that we do this current year. And 25, we did take 5 books. We are planning to do that again with the team that we have. But we're not sharing those appointments. Extremely important. They're in our city. You're going to have an incredible opportunity to get in front of these buyers to promote your product. So take a look. If you are interested and you're not on board yet, please reach out to Paul. Paul is in charge of this registration, but he and I are working very closely with US Travel to make sure that we are represented well in this community. So just wanted everybody to be aware. Thank you all that did register already. We're very excited that there is this enthusiasm. You keep us energized as well. And I just want to give you a brief update to where we are on that planning process. So going forward, opening and closing, I know there's a lot of interest in this because that is one of the responsibilities as part of our contract dictates to us that we are responsible. I think we have shared that people know that the opening will be out at the beach on Fort Lauderdale Beach in that park. And we're very excited about that. We have secured Live Nation, who produce Tortuga every year. They are supporting us and helping us with that process. I like to think that they can probably do this with their eyes closed when we're talking about 6,000 people instead of the 100,000 plus that come for Tortuga over the weekend. So we're excited about that. Closing event will be in our plaza area that flows out directly from the convention center. It is gorgeous. If you haven't been by there lately, go take a peek. It looks phenomenal. It looks so much bigger now that there's not construction materials there. So we're very excited about this. We're working closely with US Travel about that space being utilized throughout the show itself. It's not just going to be for a closing event. And you know, they're calling our convention center the campus. We're taking over the campus throughout the show, which is very exciting for us. And again, it will be utilized all of the days of the show itself as far as having some activations in that space. But come closing night, closing event, there'll be more. And we're excited about that. We're going to flow out from the show and have people there on our plaza. And we're working on that right now. We're working on an application process. I know there's some of our cities and some of the partners that are interested in being part of that. We will have applications for you to be able to fill out and be part of that program. And I just want to say for all of you, I mean, again, the enthusiasm is great. I love that we've gotten people signed up to do the show, but remember, it's all about the welcome. I was just at a meeting in DC earlier this week with the US Travel team and some of my counterparts from around the country to talk about the international inbound and the challenges that we currently have and how do we overcome some of this and how do we work together. And this is so important that we as a community working together to make that welcome. And that was kind of the theme of what we came together on, was like, how do we as a nation create that welcome and that people realize how welcome we are. And that has been, which I think is fantastic, a marketing message for us for a long time. It's not something new. So I think I like to think that we're ahead of that curve, realizing how important that is. So I'm sharing with you, when you think about your companies, you know, your restaurants, your hotels, your attractions, making sure that time period when IPW is here, you're filling your space with the signage, video, greetings, the cultural experiences that you might create for people to experience when they come into your space, utilizing social media and saying that we're proud to welcome you. So I just want to remind everybody that it's not just about what's happening at the show, but it's what's happening in your space. So important, because I do believe when they come here and they have that experience, they're going to be talking a lot about us, because that's such an important ingredient right now. Of course, we'll have our Show Your Badge, and we want all of you to participate in that. Think about, like, during that week, what are events that you can have and be promoting out there to encourage people to come see you? There are there's off days where there aren't necessarily scheduled events that we've done, but there will be lots of events around the city. But think about what you can do and how you can promote that to encourage people to come to your space. Gear up your staff, wear pins, welcoming. Make sure you talk about the languages that you speak. That's so important. Nikki on our team is in charge of volunteers. If you want to volunteer, you can sign up and sign up your staff. And then we're working on the Lauderdale Local, which is a sister program to the Lauderdale Loyalists. But this program is obviously for the locals here. It's part of that welcoming process. It is an ambassador training. It's got 3 different modules. It will be launching in January. We're marketing is now working on a refresh of our brand, and we're going to launch it when that is there. So it's, you know, it will be, have the brand that will be launched in January. But it will be for your staff, for all your staff, for any and everyone, taxi drivers, your servers, your cleaning folks. And, you know, and it's not, this program is not being developed for IPW. Selfishly, it will be ready for IPW. We pushed this through, but this is going to be used for any events that are coming into the city, meetings and conventions. What else will be in that convention center? Sporting events. So it's a training program that we're going to be able to push out to you what's coming in this week. And so, but this particular one, so it's going to have hospitality as well as what's in town. Who are these folks that are coming in? And I want to remind everybody that, you know, we moved the show a day forward because it's normally The appointments are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We have moved it to Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We are anchored by weekends. Back when I was in DC, I already had the woman, my counterpart in DC said to me, I'm coming down early, bringing my kid. Where should I go? We're getting a lot of that. And so we encourage you to think about that. Like how, you can take advantage of this very, a traveling group of people to stay, come in early or stay late. So just want to encourage everybody to do that. And that's my IPW update. I do want to say too that the team in the events that we're attending to get in front of our buyers is so meaningful for us to have this face-to-face. Paul mentioned I was in the Nordic countries in October while he was at Travel Week. Caitlin's been in Brazil and Colombia already to promote. It is so important that we're telling our story and we're inviting them personally. And it means something to them and us sharing our story along with US Travel. There's a lot of changes in the program that they're doing, that they're implementing that were needed. And I think some great changes that they're making. So they're telling some of that story, but we're telling why they want to come here. So it's perfectly married up. So I was excited to get in front of them and talk to them personally about coming to see us here. And there is excitement because this is our first time. And I believe it's the 58th edition of IPW. So let's go forward. I'm sorry, I'm running a little long, so Ted's going to have to talk really fast, I think. Next slide.
Sorry here. All right, guys.
Hassan's going to have to talk really
Yep.
Sorry.
And I will, folks. Thank you. Good morning to everyone who has joined us. Just absolutely to be respectful of everyone's time. Our Lauderdale Loyalist updates. We have over 50 unique countries. We've spoken about many of those through the domestic and Europe, Canada, LATAM, UK, US, Canada, Brazil, Colombia, and Germany continue to be our top registrants. To date, we have over 6,000 registered loyalists. There's 6,557. 435 of those have actually been issued VIP passports, which gives them access to our attractions here in the greater Fort Lauderdale area. Also, Portuguese and German languages are now available on the platform. Top sellers continue to be, again, Canada, our friends to the north, UK, Colombia, Germany, and Brazil. Argentina, as Caitlin noted in LATAM, big on Argentina, Ireland, and more. So as the Venice of Americas, water taxi continues to be one of our top attractions for people to actually utilize. Great way to get through and around the Florida canals. So with that being said, you can see the visual here. If anyone is out there that's interested in getting onto the platform to be an attraction, please just reach out, let us know. But with that, I will now turn it over to Ted for the market update.
All right, thanks, Hassan. We're going to go through this quickly, obviously, to be respectful of your time. Next slide, please. What we're seeing in October and September is a weakening economy. You can't look at it any other way. There are some comparative issues. Taylor Swift was last October. So when you look at October, I would do a comparison on a year-over-2-year basis. You do the comparison on a year-over-2-year basis, it stinks too. So ultimately, we are beginning. I mean, I had predicted in my forecast that this was going to start happening in May or June. We rolled on fairly well through August. I would argue we either pulled forward or we outperformed in May, June, July, August, sort of give or take. But September and October have thrown some cold water in our face. I think we're seeing leading indicators going down. We're seeing it in our results. There is an optimistic view forward and a less optimistic view forward. The optimistic view says, well, this is really the off peak, and we're going to come out of it, basically the sort of the beating that we've taken in September, October is going to be relegated to the off-peak period. I'm not quite sure, but I can show you what my forecast is going forward. Next slide, please. That was a segue to actually not go to what I'm talking about. But we look at, I want to sort of talk about year to date. The important things to look at, it's generally flat. But if you look at revenue and you look at demand, they've turned the corner to both be negative. So we've been helped out by less supply. Obviously, we're going to dump almost 1,000 rooms before the end of the year on that. So that will put some pressure on measures. But ultimately, what we are doing thus far this year is pretty comparable to what we did this time last year, but it's starting to drop off at an increasing rate. Next slide, please. This is the fiscal year, October 1, 2024 to September 2023. Look at the hotel revenue, look at the demand. It's relatively flat, sort of on the positive side. Those were up, similar measures. So what's going to happen, or what is happening, is the erosion has begun. Again, maybe it's going to be relegated to the off-peak only, but odds are it's going to touch the shoulder and potentially even the peak. Next slide, please. My forecast magically got accurate in September again, and October it was pretty miserable from May to August, but now we're right on, and that's probably not a good thing because you saw the red there. That was what I was predicting. I was predicting it earlier, and the question is the recovery going to look like I predicted or not? Next slide, please. So if you look at the yellow line in RevPAR, that is the 2026 forecast. You probably have some interest in that. It shows that we are going to suffer on a year-over-year basis for the beginning of the year, but there will be recovery starting around May, June. The big question that I have is, will that be postponed 3 or 4 months in terms of a cycle? Is a cycle going to be shifted back that I was predicting or not? If I were betting, I would say the cycle will likely be shifted. I've done an aggregate comparison of the forecast that many of you have seen, and you will sort of see in what we're doing here. It shows rate is down about 1, RevPAR is down about 1, occupancy is relatively flat. Looking at actuals and forecasts for 2025 versus the forecast I have for 2026. That is potentially optimistic in its recovery if we see a 3 to 4 month delay in the recovery. So again, remains to be seen, but next year will be down relative to this year, according to everything that I am predicting. And it could be worse than the 1% down that I currently have on the books. Next slide, please. Performance by region. Basically, if you look to the right, ADR is the straw that stirs the drink. It's all about rate. You see that downtown is outperforming. Why? Because they've been able to maintain rate. Everyone else has somewhat come down to it. You'll see the north looking a little bit better on a year-over-year basis. The problem is that the malaise in the north is annualized. So that's kind of a false friend, as you call it there. But again, there's still strength in the downtown Central Beach area. The other areas are starting to weaken. Next slide, please. In terms of competitive set, you'll see the one outperforming region is Palm Beach. It is related to Winter White House events there, and you see it's registering again in rate. The other things you see are basically hurricane related. Everybody's running together unless there are residual hurricane impacts in there, with the exception of Palm Beach, who's outperforming. Next slide, please. In terms of hotel class, what we've seen for a long time, even with annualization, the mid-scale and economy are struggling because people who stay at those hotels, their income strata are out of money. Inflation is hitting them, at the grocery store and other places. So it's really, there's been a lot of sort of a bifurcation. There's been the bottom two classes and everybody else. What we're seeing as of September is the other classes are falling down. The rate is falling down and the performance is falling down for them. So we are sort of an entryway. And the big question is this the world going forward for a time, or is this an off-peak phenomenon? So that's kind of the big bet that we're seeing there. We're only 20% of mid-scale economy. That's our room nights, or our rooms, room inventory. So I guess the good news is when the lower end catches cold, it takes a while for the rest of the destination to get sick. You're seeing a little bit of the pressure in September, October. It's my sincere hope that that goes away as we come out of the off-peak. Next slide, please. TDT revenue collections, no news here. We're basically flat. So next slide, please. Passenger volume, the malaise and spirits reducing, it's flying everywhere. You see that the reduction of Southwest International presence in Fort Lauderdale has annualized, but the troubles seen at Spirit and JetBlue and Southwest kind of overall are greater than the airline world as a whole. That's what you're seeing in the passenger volumes at Fort Lauderdale, Hollywood International. Next slide, please. Miami is same as it ever was. So what you saw last year, you see this year, which is good for us because we bring people from international destinations through Miami, and if they're smart, they come here. Next slide, please. Cruise is still on fire and should continue to outperform. The only signs of weakness we see in cruise are not related to Port Everglades. Norwegian is having a bit of a struggle, but everyone else seems to be rocking it. Next slide. Monthly visitation, we're starting to see a little bit of weakness. We saw in October. September is a little bit anomalous, but we've been doing okay year to date. But the question is, if people stop coming here, you know, the money will slow down through the economic engine. October was a little bit of a sign of concern because it slightly underperformed 2023. And that didn't have Taylor Swift in it. So the last year, looking at it, you know, it's not too dramatic on the foot traffic side as it seems because we had the Taylor Swift visitation in 2024 and a little bit of hurricane sheltering. Next slide, please. Okay, Canada. Next slide, please. I'm talking about Canada, not because Paul is so delightful, which of course he is, but it's because it is half of our international business. You look at the overall visitors, we have about 750,000 visitors in 2024, and they spend about $1,000 a piece. That is probably triple what we see out of domestic visitation. So they're in the upper twos with respect to how much they spend on a daily basis. So it's, again, that's not, I mean, sorry, that's a bad comparison, but ultimately they spend significantly more. It is sizable because of that. Who's coming? You look in the residents, we care about Quebec and Ontario deeply. The others are sort of less important to it. Average age is 50. That's a little bit older demographic than comes from the US, but the rest of it is generally there. Travel season, you see very much a first quarter phenomenon. Our seasonality is even greater, sort of more exaggerated with Canada. And then in the lower right-hand corner, packages, 48% of the folks coming here on a package. IPW, seriously important. It is a huge thing. It makes up a large amount of it. So relationships matter. People, go-betweens matter in this market. Very, very important when we think about how we approach Canada as our #1 international market. Next slide, please. Canadian traveler sentiment. We're back to the false friends portion of our program. What Canadians are saying is not reflected in the numbers. They are very negative when they talk about sentiment about coming here. They do not like, I mean, we've got some crazy trade policies. We've got some, my opinion, crazy trade policies. We've got some crazy visitation policies, visa nonsense going on. And it's all kind of negative for travel. So people get caught up in that. Although the effects, based on what Longwoods just came out with this morning, that sort of tapering down a little bit. But if you see all of the, say such a low number in the 15 to 10 to 15% range of people likely to visit the US. Next slide, please. Thankfully, that's not super true. We are seeing, this is nonstop Canadian air travel to FLL. If you see, look at first quarter, we were up 3%. So that was sort of lagging the kind of overall recovery, but on a par with, growth that makes people happy. Q2 down 12.2%. That's tough, but it is, again, we're starting to see the effects of it, and it started to accelerate in Q3, gone to down 16%. But if you look in the lower right, you see year to date, we're only down 4%. Why? Because the 3% up is heavily weighted to 36% of their travel, let's say. And so when we look at this, it's important to see that, yes, we are down, we are going down, but we are decreasing at a slowing rate. So, and the damage year to date down 4%. That's something that, you can kind of get away with. Again, we want to focus on the trends, but we are doing fairly well. Next slide. I've done a comparison here of what's happening at Fort Lauderdale, the data I just showed you, with Stats Canada data on return Canada trips to the US via air. Say, okay, this is not an apples to apples, but if you do a percent difference, what it shows is we are massively outperforming the rest of the United States, because from an air perspective, look at, we are, +6, +5, +16 in first quarter. But that's not the important part. As we go on and the trouble hit home, we're +8, +11, +11 again, +14, +10, and +7 even in hurricane season, sort of the heart of it. So the message to take away here is we are outperforming. Then you ask the question, why are we outperforming? We're a great natural destination, but we are superior at welcoming people. People feel good here. We have strong relationships because of the people you see across the top line here. It depends on your view. But again, the global trade team works with all of the partners and you guys as well, creating great relationships. And it shows in the numbers. We are welcoming, and welcoming wins. So keep the relationships going. And that is sort of my marketing message for the day. We show success because we know how to do it better. And what it is being welcoming. And that's what I got.
Thank you, Ted. Great messaging there. Any questions? I didn't see any come in the chat box, and I know we're running late, and I see most of you stayed on, so thank you for that. Let's just move forward here. I do want to remind everyone, follow us, Leisure Lauderdale, please follow us. You'll keep up on, and you can keep up with what we're doing with our Fantastic Five. We do this after all our reports. They all are online. We give you our 5 takeaways. You can take these away too. And then following us at Leisure Lauderdale, and save the date. We're going to do this again in January. January 6th is our scheduled date. Please mark this. Please note too that the marketing luncheon will be January 14th. And that will be in person at our convention center. So make sure to mark your dates for that as well. And in closing, I think that I want to give a big shout out and thank all of you for hanging in there with us. I do want to give a shout out to the team. This is that month where we're all looking at what we're grateful for as we go into this holiday season. I want to say I'm so grateful for this team. They come together. They talked about it a little earlier about, how do we do this program? I'm already, Roger's already got something else he's got to do. They come together all the time to support each other. And I appreciate all of our partners. So thank you for all you do to support us as well. And with that, happy holidays. Thank you all.